Hello, this video is on structure, format, and sequence for nonfiction informational text. Let's review some organizational features. Structure and format. These help readers find information and understand what it is that they're reading. It helps an author achieve his or her purpose most effectively. It provides information that may not be written in the text. Examples include the table of contents, index, glossary, titles, subheadings. It could be text, bold text, colored text, italics, photographs, illustrations, captions, text boxes, maps, diagrams, tables, and timelines. And you can find examples of all of these posted in our course. Let's look at some examples of structure and format really quickly. You want to pay attention to text and images that are set apart. A title or a heading, subheadings, text boxes, pictures or images. Other examples of structure and format, pay attention to text that stands out, text that could be colored in some way or highlighted, text that is italicized, text that is in bold. Other examples you want to pay attention to unique features that set information apart, such as numbered categories, labeled sections, special spacing. Let's review sequential order. A sequential pattern of organization arranges information according to a step-by-step sequence that describes a particular process. Using a sequential pattern, each main section of information represents a main step that one would follow in the actual process. The points included within each main section represent the sub-steps one would follow. When one wishes to describe a process that follows a specific series of steps in a particular order, then a sequential pattern works well. It's different from chronological, which arranges events by a specific time. Example of sequence. Suppose a writer's stated purpose is to explain how wine is made. Sequential order, or the sequential pattern, would be effective in this case because it breaks the process down into a specific series of steps, which should be followed in a precise order. Notice that a series of related, smaller steps are grouped into one larger category. Thus, a process which involves many specific steps can be simplified by highlighting the most fundamental steps, which helps the reader understand the process and remember its key parts. You see this a lot as well with directions. So if we're talking about making wine, you have step 1, harvest the grapes. Points 1 and 2, harvesting procedure number 1, harvesting procedure number 2, that would follow under step 1. When you've completed all of this process, you move on to step 2, where you prepare the grapes. You follow the procedure for the preparation. You move on to step 3, ferment the grapes. You follow the fermenting procedures. And then you move on to step 4, where you press the grapes and you follow the pressing procedures. Lastly, you move on to step 5, where you age the wine and you would follow the aging procedures. So you would follow it in a certain sequence or in a particular order. Let's review structure and format. Today we're going to look at specific types of organizational structures in nonfiction. Sequential order, information organized step by step. Chronological order, time order, information arranged in time sequence. Compare and contrast, information arranged by similarities and differences between two or more subjects. Cause and effect, shows the different causes and effects of various conditions. Problem and solution, writing divided into two clear sections, the problem and solution. Classification structure, combining items into a number of distinct groupings and then labeling each new group. Order of importance, information arranged from least important to most important, or vice versa. Let's play Name That Structuring Technique. Name that structuring technique. Some countries, such as Japan or parts of a country like California in the United States, have a lot of earthquakes. In these places, it is good practice to build houses and other buildings so they will not collapse when there is an earthquake. This is called seismic design. or earthquake proofing. This is problem and solution. The problem: some countries such as Japan or parts of a country like California in the United States have a lot of earthquakes. A solution is then proposed. It is a good practice to build houses and other buildings so they will not collapse when there is an earthquake. This is called seismic design, or earthquake proofing. Name that structuring technique. Fire needs 3 things to burn: oxygen, fuel, and heat. Fuels can be wood, tinder, coal, or any other substance that will easily oxidize. Therefore, a fire can be stopped in 3 different ways: by removing any of the 3 things it needs to burn. The fuel can be removed. If a fire burns through all of its fuel and extra nearby fuel is removed, the fire will stop burning. The oxygen can be removed. This is called smothering a fire. Fires cannot burn in a vacuum or if they are covered in carbon dioxide. The heat can be removed. The most common way to remove heat is to use water to absorb that heat, putting the fire out. This is cause and effect. You have the fuel, the oxygen, and the heat. All of these causes have the effect of fire. If you remove the fuel, remove the oxygen, and remove the heat, you can extinguish the fire. Name that structuring technique. A hurricane is a large storm with heavy winds and rain that begins in the ocean and builds up strength as it moves across the water. While some of the damage caused by hurricanes is from high winds, most of it is usually from a tidal surge, flooding entire cities and killing large numbers of people. A tornado is a storm that develops on land, with no warning, and moves in a circular motion with heavy winds with a funnel shape, picking up and carrying dirt, dust, and even objects. The damage caused by tornadoes is from the high-velocity winds, which are extremely destructive and deadly. They can demolish entire neighborhoods in a matter of a few seconds to a few minutes. Tornadoes can form when hurricanes make landfall, as their winds at ground level slow down, while the winds near the top keep their momentum. But a hurricane cannot be created by a tornado. This is compare and contrast structure, and you can use the Venn diagram to help organize the information. So you would create 2 overlapping circles. In one circle, we have hurricanes. For the other circle, we'd have tornadoes. In the part that isn't overlapping, we would talk about what's unique to hurricanes. Rain, they start in the ocean. Most of the damage caused by tidal surges, it cannot be created by a tornado. In the bubble labeled tornado, in the part that's not overlapping, we'll get to that in just a moment. But in the part that's not overlapping, we'll talk about what's unique to the tornado. It carries dirt and debris, develops on land, damage caused by high velocity winds, and can be created by a hurricane. In the overlapping section, this is where you talk about the comparisons or the similarities between the 2. They both have heavy winds, they both cause a lot of damage, and they both can be deadly. Name that structuring technique. Do you need motivation to exercise? Here are some effects of exercise that can benefit your life. Exercise can be, gasp, fun. If you're wondering what to do on a Sunday afternoon, go out and find a hiking trail and take the family on a hike. Exercise can add spark to your life because it leaves you feeling energized and looking better, which also makes you feel better about yourself. Are you tired of those few extra pounds? Well, exercise can help you manage your weight. Get outside and shed those unwanted pounds. Aerobic activity also can improve your mood. Maybe you need to blow off some steam. A workout or a 30-minute walk can promote euphoria and calm you down because it stimulates various brain chemicals. Exercise also reduces insomnia, a condition that thwarts concentration and productivity. In addition, cardio activity has been proven to lower cholesterol and high blood pressure and can decrease the risk of colon and breast cancer. Most importantly, keeping fit combats chronic diseases and premature death. This is order of importance. The main idea of the passage is that exercise is good for you. The author wrote the passage to persuade people to exercise. The details are given from least important detail, exercise is a fun way to pass the time, and the order of importance increases as the passage continues. Exercise can give you energy. Exercise can make you feel better about yourself. Exercise can help you manage your weight. Some exercises can help improve your mood. Exercise can reduce insomnia. all the way up to the most important detail, which is that exercise can reduce the risks of certain diseases. Name that structuring technique. Here's a recipe for 1 bowl brownies. There's a list of ingredients here, and then the procedure. Heat oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Microwave chocolate, margarine, and large microwavable bowl on high 2 minutes or until margarine is melted. Stir until chocolate is completely melted. Stir sugar into chocolate and then mix in eggs and vanilla until well blended. Stir in flour and walnuts. Spread in greased 13 by 9-inch pan and bake 30 to 35 minutes, or until toothpick inserted in center comes out with fudgy crumbs. Cool in pan, cut into squares, makes 24 fudgy brownies. Note, when using glass baking dish, bake at 325 degrees Fahrenheit. For cake-like brownies, stir in half a cup of milk with eggs. Use 1½ cups flour. This is sequential order. First, you gather ingredients and heat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And then we have to microwave the chocolate and the margarine. Next, you stir sugar into the chocolate and mix in eggs and vanilla until well blended. The process continues as you stir in the flour and walnuts, and then you spread all of the mixed ingredients into the pan and you bake it until it's done. And then you let it cool, and then you can enjoy your cut brownies. Name that structuring technique. Hurricane Katrina began as Tropical Depression 12 over the southeastern Bahamas on August 23, 2005. The depression later strengthened into a tropical storm on the morning of August 24th, where the storm was also named Katrina. Katrina continued to move into Florida and became a Category 1 hurricane only 2 hours before it made landfall around Hallandale Beach on the morning of August 25th. The storm weakened over land, but became a hurricane again while entering the Gulf of Mexico. This is chronological order. On August 23, 2005, we know that a Tropical Depression 12 occurred over the southeastern Bahamas. The next day, on August 24th, the depression later strengthened into a tropical storm, and it was named Katrina. And then on August 25th, it continued to move into Florida and became a Category 1 hurricane. So we can follow the process of events or the series of events in time order. So think of a timeline. Name that structuring technique. A bear, by simple definition, is any one of a group of large and heavy animals that have thick hair and sharp claws and that can stand on 2 legs like a person. There are many different types of bears. Brown bear. Any of several bears predominantly brown in color that are usually considered a single species, including the grizzly bear and that formerly inhabited western North America from the barrens of Alaska to northern Mexico and much of Europe and Asia, but are now much restricted in range. The polar bear, a large creamy white carnivorous bear that inhabits Arctic regions. The koala bear, not really a bear by definition, but an Australian arboreal marsupial that has a broad head, large hairy ears, dense gray fur, and sharp claws, and feeds on eucalyptus leaves. This is classification order. We have bears, and then we have that larger category broken down into specific classifications. First, the brown bear, then the polar bear, and finally, the koala bear. Name that structuring technique. In order to grow an indoor plant, you must fill a pot with soil. Second, add a few seeds of the plant that you would like to grow. Third, add some water to the pot to moisten the soil. Then place the potted seeds in a location that has plenty of sunlight. Wait for your seeds to sprout. Lastly, continue to make sure your plant gets plenty of sunshine and water. This is sequential order. You fill your pot with soil. You add a few seeds. Add some water to moisten the soil. Place the potted seeds in a location that has plenty of sun. Just wait. And continue to make sure your plant gets plenty of sunshine and water. If you have any questions, let me know.